Sometimes when you travel, whether it be nationally or internationally, I usually have the flexibility to accommodate my travel schedule with the fare that's available. If it's a flight or a hotel or a campground, if it's going to be overly busy or something or overly expensive, I can usually modify my plans. But when you're flying internationally, it gets a little tougher. Visas and just trip planning can make your schedule pretty rigid and not flexible, which is the case for us. We're trying to get the passport for Drakester October 30th, and then going to Brazil November 3rd through the 8th. So I started looking last night, and every time I switch destinations, from different airports to try and get better flights times or better prices, when I went back to the original airport, the fare went up because it knew, one, I was going to a place not a lot of people go to, and two, there wasn't a lot of demand for that flight. So it somehow sensed I didn't have much flexibility. So by the end of the night, our trip for three was going to cost $2,700. And that's just insane on a trip that should cost $1,600 at most. If you book the trip far enough in advance, it should be closer to 12 for three people. So I let the system reset overnight and began with more of a purpose this morning. So we're going from Orlando to Curitiba, Brazil, through São Paulo. São Paulo is a giant airport, so they have direct flights into São Paulo most of the time. And so you can get there through Tampa, Orlando, or Miami. Now, availability of the fares plays a lot into this. And so if the fares aren't available, you're going to have to switch your airports. And then you want to try and fly in and out of the same airport. It just makes things a little bit easier. And then you also have to look at travel times. Some of these travel times are out today. What, guys? What you guys doing? Hello. Some of these travel times went anywhere from 11 hours to 27 hours. And when you have basically a 3-year-old, that 27 hours doesn't, whether you have a 3-year-old or not, 27 hours is just freaking nuts unless you're going far, far away. So, got lots of snakes out lately. So going round trip was not working. And I knew that there's a couple Brazilian airlines that fly from São Paulo to Curitiba and vice versa. So I booked the first trip for the three of us for $880, I think it is. Reasonable, not great, but at least affordable. And we're all the way through from Orlando to Curitiba. I then tried to book my flight back from Curitiba to Orlando, and the flights are crazy. They're like double. And it turns out the problem is the flight for US citizens from Curitiba to Sao Paulo right now is like $200 per person, where it's usually $55. Now, if I go in as a Brazilian citizen, which I did accidentally, then it's $55. It's very frustrating. But yet, going from Sao Paulo to Sao Paulo to Orlando was reasonable. It was like $700 for the three of us. Okay, that's not bad. So I booked that. So now I've got all my reservations, but I'm not able to get in 2 one-way tickets. So I couldn't book it all together, had to do 2 one-way tickets. So I guess that's the first tip I have for you, is if you can't do it on a round trip, but you know you're going to be where you're going to need to be, then book 2 one-way trips or at least get the pricing for that. That step saved me $900, and also 9 hours of travel time. So that was pretty important. So I did that, but now I have to get from Curitiba to Sao Paulo. So, and I'm not going to make the people that we are staying with drive me there. So I need to figure this out on my own, just as if I was a traveler, a regular traveler that knew no one in the country. So I start looking at, I can take a bus, 5 hours, $20 a person. That's not horrible. I mean, it's not going to be a fun bus ride, but for $60, that's an option. That's like worst case scenario option. So we know we can get there. The second option is renting a car one way. So, and the third option was flying there separately on a separate airlines, but for whatever reason, the prices are screwy. So if they go back down to a more reasonable level, we'll do that. But you never know. But I can't base my trip on ifs and hopefullys. I gotta have a way to get to the airport. So I looked into renting a car one way. So don't forget, pretty much any place in the world, you can rent a car one way. You can pretty much, all your travel can be done in one-way segments. It's going to cost you more. There's going to be drop fees and whatnot. But so to rent a car in Curitiba for a day, it's $49. And to drop it at a major airport like Sao Paulo is $120. So, but that's about what it is in the United States, especially when you're going from one state or territory to another. So that's what I did with Enterprise. So I'm doing it with a company that I have faith in, Enterprise, and I know my total price. So we're getting all of our stuff. Our total round trip is like $1,700, which is still high. I'm not overly thrilled with it, but flight time, it's only 14 hours, which is a far cry from 21 and 23. And we're flying at the last minute. For that luxury, there's a price. But I guess what I'm saying, so the things that you should learn from what I just did is, one, if the algorithms and the websites are gathering your information, you can try and go incognito. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes you just have to wait till the next day, which I know for me makes me extremely anxious. I like to get this shit buttoned up and done. But, you know, unless you have an unlimited budget, sometimes that's just not possible. So if you really want to go, you have to sacrifice a little, which is what I did going from last night to today. So I've done this enough to know that the pricing almost always resets after midnight or after a period of flights being looked up and not booked. Because don't forget, they want to sell those seats, and they're gonna try and get, just like we're gonna get those seats for the lowest possible amount, they're gonna try and sell those for the highest possible amount. So it's just the way it is. How's it going?
Much better.
Yeah, done it?
So much better.
Yeah, I go Thursday.
Okay. Good, and no surgery or anything?
No surgeries. No, everything looks pretty good. My one tooth is still a little numb,
Yeah.
but I found with all this stuff that usually the numbness is there for a reason. It's but everything's getting cemented, and it'll be 4 weeks or 3 or 4. Maybe it's 3 weeks.
Gosh.
Yeah, so I'm lucky.
Yes. Oh my.
We'll see ya.
So you can't fault them, the travel places, try and get as much money out of you as they can, because we're doing the exact same thing to them. We're trying to give them as little money as possible. And, you know, either we make a deal or we don't. So you don't want to wait, though, too long. You know, I think anything, well, as I look at Google Flights is great, because you can put your date range in, or you can put no date range, and you go to the dates where you're kind of looking, and it will tell you, and you enter the time span of what you want to go, and it'll give you a range of what the flights look like and everything. But on the American website, you know, it gave me that range, and I went to book it because sometimes the fares were not bad. And all of a sudden that fare class wasn't available. So I don't know why, another deer, I don't know why their system is not picking up fare classes that are, or is picking up fare classes that are gone, and it doesn't correct until you get a checkout, which is extremely frustrating because you got to put all the information in. It just sucks. But it stopped doing that when I went and I started doing one-way trips. So, but Google Flights is a great way to see that. And then you can go back and see, like I went back and looked and, all right, what if I'm leaving tomorrow? What are the flights? So then I knew best case, worst case scenarios of what I was looking at. And a lot of it has to do with how many seats are sold on that particular day. So it used to be, you know, you looked on Tuesday or Wednesday and the prices were better late at night or something like that. I don't know if that's the case or not. I do know if you're not seeing prices you like that you did at one time and those seats are still available, then you might be best served to call it a night, go to bed, and try the next morning like I did. But, and keep all your options open. Think about, how can I get to this particular place? Remember, when you're going internationally, there's trains, there's planes, there's buses, there's autos. So you have those 4 things. And out of those 4 things, usually you can find one option that's priced to go. So I hope that's helpful. I know it's a little different than some of the content that I've been doing, but you know, these travel tips, especially whether you're going nationally or internationally,
Google Flights, checking all your options, waiting a day when you don't get the options you want, are all great options. So keep those in mind, and hopefully you can get your trips going for as inexpensively as possible. If you like this content, want to hear about how to increase your social media presence, or how to take better pictures, or how to take better Airbnb pictures, please consider giving us a like, or more travel tips. Please consider giving us a like, and for sure subscribe so you don't miss the next video. All right, well, have a great one. We'll talk to you guys very soon. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.